Fortnite Chapter 5 is officially over, and oh boy, what a ride it's been. Fortnite has had many controversial seasons and even controversial chapters in the past, but in my opinion, none of them has been as controversial as Chapter 5. This chapter is an extremely interesting case because I wouldn't consider this chapter to be absolutely great, but at the same time, I don't think it's irredeemable garbage. And while I personally enjoyed Chapter 5, I can't ignore the many problems it has. I'm going to split this video into 3 parts. The first part will be a traditional review going over my thoughts of the chapter, the second part will be the reactions from the community, and the last part will be what Epic Games needs to do in order to make Chapter 6 a better chapter. Keep in mind that the first part of the video will be somewhat biased because it is my opinion, but I'll try my best to make parts 2 and 3 as unbiased as possible. Before we get into this, be sure to like and subscribe if you like the video. If I hit 10k by the end of the year, I'll do an elbow reveal, and use code LilSmurf if you're awesome. One of my favorite aspects of this chapter was the map. In Season 1, it was pretty basic and all of the POIs had a pretty consistent theme of European architecture. During the season, I thought the map looked too similar and didn't feel different enough, but looking back on it, I actually loved how it was super similar. It made the map feel very connected. In Season 2, 2 sides of the map were replaced with the Greek biomes. These biomes added some much needed colors to the map, as in Season 1, while I did like the map, I thought that the colors were extremely bland. These POIs were extremely well detailed, but in my opinion lacked chests and loot, meaning they weren't really worth it to land there. In Season 3, the entire bottom half of the map was replaced with a post-apocalyptic desert biome, filled with slurp cacti and sand. These POIs were factory, guarded fortress, arena, all of which I'm a big fan of. Halfway through the season, we got a new POI at the center of the map with Shipwreck Shallows, which was a collab POI with Pirates of the Caribbean. In Season 4, the top part of the map was taken over by Dr. Doom, and Pleasant Piazza got replaced with the Raft. I would consider Castle Doom to be the best castle POI we've ever gotten. During Fortnitemares this year, we got POI changes like Brawler's Patch and Freaky Fields, and the river water in the Underworld biome turned red. In my opinion, these were all great map changes. It seems that we've gotten back to getting mid-season map changes, which I'm a big fan of. Something I am not a fan of is the loot pool in this chapter. For the most part, I like the weapons, but in my opinion, they're ruined by bullet drop and weapon mods. Basically, everyone and their mama has talked about their distaste for bullet drop, and rightfully so. Hit scan just works far better for a third-person game like Fortnite. However, bullet drop would have never happened if it wasn't for weapon mods. Weapon mods were something that I've wanted in Fortnite for a while, however, the way they were executed was extremely disappointing. In Season 1, they were really cool, mainly because they were a brand new concept that we've never really seen in Fortnite before. It was really easy for you to mod your gun, and also the mods felt like they changed up the way your gun felt. However, mod benches were scarce, being at only 5 of the 11 POIs and 1 on Loot Island, which spawned later in game. This means it was hard for you to even get to a place where you could mod your gun, and in Season 2 they made it even worse. The mod benches were moved to these mod bunkers on the map, which there were 9 of. Now this could be a good idea, but it isn't. They only open up after the 3rd zone, meaning not everyone will get a chance to use them. Also, some of them have a chance of being chained off or stuck in storm. It seems like Fortnite is doing everything in its power to make you not use weapon mods. Not to mention the fact that mods can spawn on your gun when you get them picked up, meaning if you didn't find a mod bench, tough luck kid, move on and get stuck with a thermal scope on your AR. Also, we have gotten a total of 2 new weapon mods, excluding the ones that were introduced in Season 1, those being the thermal scope and the speed grip. These were the only new ones added, and then Fortnite just ditch the concept. This wouldn't be a huge problem if it wasn't for the fact that they introduced this as a brand new game-changing mechanic. If you're going to have a mechanic headline your chapter, you should be able to expand on that mechanic and not drop it after 2 seasons. It would be like if Fortnite just gave up on reality augments in Chapter 4. It doesn't make any sense. As for the actual weapons in the loot pool, I'm split. For one, I really like the experimentation that Fortnite has done. Having stuff like Greek powers, cars with turrets, and Marvel superpowers was interesting and was, in my opinion, really enjoyable, but the actual weapons felt like cheap knockoffs of guns like the SCAR, Pump, TAC, and SMG. Other than Chapter 3, I'd say that this chapter has by far the worst shotgun meta. The hammer pump is one of my least favorite guns in the entire game, mainly because it shoots basically bubbles at your opponents, and I think bubbles would hit for more than the hammer pump shotgun. The fact that the hammer pump has been the worst shotgun in the loot pool every season in this chapter is a problem. The quote-unquote spray shotgun like the TAC shouldn't be more powerful than the hard-hitting shotgun, and vice versa. They should be balanced. You should be able to pick up either shotgun and still have a good chance at winning. It absolutely baffles me how Fortnite kept the hammer pump in the game without any buff, yet vaulted things like the Striker AR and Thunderburst SMG, which were universally beloved by the community. I will say, I really like the ARs that they've added this chapter. The Striker, Nemesis, Warforged, and revamped TAC and Combat AR are all really good and felt fun to use. The Thunderburst SMG and dual micro SMGs were really good, but in my opinion were the only good SMGs that they added this chapter. I'm really disappointed that there were only 2 snipers this season and one of them being a reskin. But the Reaper sniper rifle was super fun to use, even if it was pretty broken. I can't talk about Chapter 5 without bringing up the metaverse that Fortnite has added. We got 3 new modes, those being LEGO Fortnite, Rocket Racing, and Fortnite Festival. LEGO Fortnite was a sandbox Minecraft style game. It got multiple updates since its launch and is by far the biggest of the modes. Rocket Racing is a racing game that in my opinion is extremely cut and dry. It feels more like a racing game you would find at your local arcade rather than something that should be in Fortnite. And Fortnite themselves have kinda given it the save the world treatment and will start to focus on it less. Fortnite Festival is a rhythm game akin to Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and is my personal favorite of the 3 modes. It's gotten its own sub-mode called Battle Stage, where you battle other players while playing the songs. Now, these modes have been controversial because players have assumed that Epic Games has been taking resources away from Battle Royale. However, this isn't the case. Fortnite has separate teams for each of the modes. We've also gotten a new version of Battle Royale called Reload, which is similar to Call of Duty's Resurgence. It's a smaller version of the Chapter 1 map and has a bunch of weapons from every chapter except Chapter 5. In my opinion, I think Reload is extremely fun, but I don't think it's better than BR. However, it makes me realize how much better Hitscan is than Bullet Drop. The weapons feel so much more satisfying to use compared to the Chapter 5 weapons. Now, the metaverse has also led to a new UI design that, in my opinion, is really bad, and I don't think anyone really likes over the original UI. It feels like Fortnite just sort of sucked all the fun out of the UI, and it looks really corporate, in my opinion. And I don't really like using the word corporate. I think it's a stupid buzzword, but in my opinion, there is some truth to it here. It feels like Fortnite is just making a change for the sake of having a change. Now, I personally love change, but it has to be good and positive change that moves us forward and not pushes us back like this new UI. Now, that's all I have to say. Again, I enjoyed this chapter. I enjoyed it quite a lot, but I understand I'm one of the very few people who did. This chapter is by far the most divisive in Fortnite's history, and the community has been in absolute shambles. I feel like I can't talk about this chapter without bringing up the stuff that has happened within the community. It seems like the community has hated every single change that Fortnite has made this chapter, whether it's good or bad. As I stated earlier, the metaverse has been a controversial topic as people have gone out of their way to call it the reason that Fortnite is quote-unquote dying, but is that really the case? Even if some people don't like the metaverse, there's people out there who do really enjoy it, so should we just completely ignore that side of the community and get rid of it because the majority says so? If that's the case, why should we have to listen to the competitive players at all? I mean, they only make up 1/3 of the player base. That means that 2/3 is casual. They're the majority. They should have the say in the game.
We need to kind of like drop this idea of like the metaverse being a bad thing alone. If you don't like it, that's fine, but you don't have to engage with it. Just continue to play the BR like you have and support it. I think that's why Rocket Racing is probably taking a little bit of a backseat, because Epic would rather spend time on the thing that's making them the most money, and that's the BR.
I actually really like the metaverse, and that's definitely a hot take. I just feel like it's done more good for Fortnite than bad. And I feel like if you say that it's done more bad for Fortnite than good, you're over exaggerating, because your Battle Royale, your base game, has not been touched by it. I really don't think it's taking away from Battle Royale. And if you're only playing Battle Royale, then it's not affecting you at all.
When Fortnite entered into this chapter, a lot of things changed, which is to be expected for a new chapter. However, it was especially jarring this time around because just before, we went back to OG Fortnite. Having all the aspects of OG Fortnite stripped away from us was really sudden, one of the most prevalent ones being the new graphics. Going from this completely different, cartoony, wacky style that's so unique to Fortnite and go directly into this gritty, realistic Call of Duty sort of style graphics was extremely jarring.
It took away a level of character that most Fortnite maps have. If you put me in like the chapter 1, chapter 2, even like the chapter 3 map, put me anywhere, I could probably tell you where that location generally is. You put me in the chapter 5 map, I've played this chapter probably the most out of any chapter. I could not tell you where a spot is because all look so similar.
I'm personally just not a fan of the realistic graphics. I think that there's something to be said about them. They definitely do feel different and they definitely do feel fresh, but I personally like the old art style better. I like what the game looked like back in chapter 1 and chapter 2, even chapter 3.
Another extremely sudden change was the shift from hit scan to bullet drop, which almost everyone wasn't a fan of. Almost everyone preferred hit scan over bullet drop.
At first, I was kind of split on the two. I didn't really care, which was, a little different from what most people would say. But as the chapters progress, I've also felt more distaste towards bullet drop. Playing reload again, playing these creative modes again, I realized how good hit scan was. And that made me contemplate more, why on earth would they add bullet drop? Did it add anything substantial to the gameplay? Did it change up the game in any significant way? And was that change for the better? To me, I don't think it was. I don't want to be this person who says it doesn't feel Fortnite enough, but it just didn't feel the same.
Not a fan, especially not bullet drop. I don't see the point of bullet drop, genuinely. We're playing Fortnite, we don't need realistic bullet drop and stuff, and the mods, I feel like they're a cool concept, right? But you have to find these mod tables in these random bunkers, and it's normally at the end of the game, so it's not like it's a core feature, it's just some kind of thing you might do at the end of the game. I'll be honest, I almost never use the mods, so it just kind of feels useless.
Collabs were also a big part of this chapter. Now, collabs have always been a big part of Fortnite, basically since it came out, but the problem with collabs in this chapter is they are essentially taking over the season's theme. Most of the collabs feel out of place and it just feels like one big advertisement. There is no reason we should have sci-fi blasters and lightsabers in a season themed around Greek mythology. It just doesn't make any sense. One of the most prevalent examples of seasons being taken over by a collab are the Avatar: The Last Airbender mythics that were added in Season 2. Whether you enjoyed the mythics or not, you can't deny that they basically took over the entire season for a couple weeks.
I was not a fan of that at all. I did not like the fact that they took the Greek mythics out for Avatar. I'm cool, I used to be really against collabs in the game. I like them now. I did not like that. Say what you want about the mythics, they kind of took over the whole season. It doesn't matter your opinion about, I didn't like them, and I'm sure if you did like them, it was fun, but you can't deny the fact that they literally swept the theme under the rug, pretty much.
Fortnite is at its most fun when it focuses on its own original ideas. I genuinely believe that, which is why I personally liked Wrecked. However, I do understand how it does feel like one big ad, even in Wrecked. It's okay guys, we've got Magneto coming, and then we've also got Metallica, and then we've got Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a lot.
The new UI is something that I feel like everyone universally hates. It doesn't feel good to navigate. It feels very laggy and glitchy. It takes the old UI and sucks all the character out of it. I don't like to use buzzwords that often, but this UI feels so much more corporate in a sense.
I hate it, honestly. It just doesn't look good. I feel like, especially the locker UI, what am I looking at? It's so cluttered, and then they removed the skin rarities, and which doesn't make sense at all. My skins that I used to know the whole order of are now shuffled together, and there's no order. And same with the item shop. It's like, what am I looking at? There's 20 pages of random skins that are just there, and it's such a mess to go through, you know?
The UI is pretty bad. Like, I have friends that like don't really play that much, but when they do, once they changed it, they're like, dude, I do not know how to navigate this game. Like, the fact that like someone new or like who's not on the game that much has problems like navigating the game, like that's like a bad sign. Like, that shouldn't have to happen.
Almost every single change this chapter has led to players complaining online, but some of the players took it to levels that should never be crossed, such as doxing and harassing Epic Games employees who really did nothing wrong and are just listening to the higher-ups. Stuff like the locker UI and the movement speed had to be changed for sure, and your voice should be heard because of these things, but you should never go out and harass innocent employees who made a silly little change in a silly little video game.
Some of it was, so the movement changes, well, just like throughout the chapter, I guess, like some people took it too far, like doxing. That is never okay. Like, I don't understand what goes through their heads, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna reveal where this person lives. Like, I think that's so dumb. I think your approach is everything. Like, if you come out guns blazing, just saying like, you know, epic, blah, 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 like saying the same buzzwords. If you just say Tim Sweeney Metaverse, you know, this and that, like it's like very regurgitated. Like, if you say stuff that doesn't have any of those buzzwords, you know, it's different already, and people are probably gonna be more willing to listen.
Because of all the complaining online, Epic Games nerfed a lot of the items that were introduced in the seasons. However, most of the complaining was on the competitive side of the community, so the solution would just be to take them out of ranked, right? Well, Fortnite didn't understand that until the last 3 weeks of Season 3, and they forgot to do that with the Marvel Mythics in Season 4. Now, none of the sides are happy.
Season 3, you know, like, let's introduce cars, make that the main aspect of the season, but oh no, people are complaining, so nerf them to the ground and add a crap ton of items just to counter the cars and make them ineffective. And I mean, then you have Season 4 where it's like a good mobility item with the jetpack, nerf that thing to the ground. It's like the cap shield was nerfed, which was warranted. Like, some of them need nerfs, but like, I mean, they just nerfed the jetpacks again like a week ago, like for like the 8th time now. Like, if you're gonna go all out and make each season like crazy, like, embrace it. You're gonna get pushback no matter what they do. Like, people are gonna push back on seasons that are good and seasons that suck. People are gonna be mad no matter what. So it's like, if you're gonna make a bold move like Season 3, like, if you want the season to be themed around cars, stick to it. Don't implement the season, then a week into it, start walking it back, because the season's already planned out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you might as well just go with it and, you know, not ruin the whole purpose of the season, because then you have people that actually enjoyed it, and then now they're upset because, you know, the season has been like nerfed to the ground, and then the people that were hating on it in the first place are still hating.
Fortnite Chapter 5 had a lot of problems, and now that the chapter is over, what is one thing that Fortnite can do to make Chapter 6 amazing?
Number one, they need to stop listening to every single complaint. People are going to complain no matter what, and I can guarantee you, people used to complain just like this in Chapter 1, Chapter 2. It was huge. People like to act like it wasn't. People were always complaining about every single season that came to this game. Epic Games just used to not listen to them. Epic Games is listening a little bit too much, listening to way too much complaints. They're nerfing everything. They're not like really adding anything to the gameplay when people complain too much, and it low-key just ends up being like a mess.
In essence, if you're gonna learn anything from Chapter 5, learn how to commit to your themes, because when you do that, it forces you to become more creative as a developer and think within the restrictions or within the context of the theme that you've already made.
Chapter 5 has left basically the whole community divided. You have one side that absolutely loves it and one side that hates every single aspect of it, and both are valid. Even though we're all playing Fortnite, the way someone like me views this game is so much different from the way someone like Clicks views this game. We all have different things that we want from this game, and we can all want what we want, but how can Epic Games make every single player happy? That's impossible, right? Dear Epic Games, There's a reason that this chapter is so controversial, and it's really easy to fix. This whole chapter, you've been making changes that appeal to both one side of the community and neither side at the same time. Nerfing fun items but keeping them in ranked only makes both sides mad. As a result, the community keeps going at each other's throats, blaming the other side when in reality, you are to blame. Making bad UI changes for no apparent reason other than to add more cosmetic options. Changing core gameplay mechanics for no reason other than to have a change. I will admit the community has gone too far at times, but you are to blame. Completely abandoning your season's themes, sometimes replacing them with a collab, is not good for your season, especially when your chapter has so many interesting themes you could do so much with. It's a bad thing when almost everyone has a different opinion on your chapter and most of them are negative. I love your game and I want to see it succeed. Bring back hit scan and get rid of weapon mods. Don't try to change your game from a cartoony art style to a gritty realistic art style. Split the loopholes. Don't be scared to unvault weapons. Don't ditch your season's themes halfway through. Don't rely so much on collabs. Make Fortnite feel like Fortnite again. Well, that certainly was a chapter. Usually at the end of my review videos, I give it a ranking out of 10, but this chapter, I can't really give it a true ranking. I don't know how I feel about it. I enjoyed the chapter a lot, and even though I did enjoy it, I can't ignore the issues it has. This is the most toxic the community has ever been, and it really hindered my enjoyment of the game as a whole. And Chapter 2 Remix is probably just gonna put a band-aid on the game before Chapter 6, and we most likely repeat this cycle over again. With that being said, thank you so much for watching to the end. This video took so long to make, and I would appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed. Once again, if we hit 10k by the end of the year, I'll do an elbow reveal. Don't forget to use code LilSmurf on your next Fortnite item shop purchase. Finally, thanks to all of these content creators for coming on this video and letting me interview them. All of them will be linked below, and you should go check them out because they're really awesome. That's all I have to say. Now I am going to go sleep until Chapter 2 OG, which is actually going to be tomorrow by the time I put this video out, so no sleep for me! That's all I have to say. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.